Well, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for a powerhouse of inspiration and leadership episode today. We've got a special guest. We've got Jordan Montgomery joining us today. And he is a nationally recognized keynote speaker, coach, founder of Montgomery Companies. He's worked with Fortune 5. I can't do this anymore.
He's going. So I got your bio.
I love it.
I got your bio, and I asked ChatGPT. I said, "Hey, Kyle likes bios. I'll ask ChatGPT," and this is what came up. I sent it to him,
So funny.
and he goes, "Did Jordan send you this?"
I was like, if he did, I'm reading this verbatim.
Yeah.
And
So inside
You say whatever. Yeah.
inside joke.
This is like, I really believe, like, it's a little John Maxwell, like, people don't care, you know?
Yeah.
You say whatever you want to say, but you don't need anybody.
I could have gone, but like you're like on the edge of your seat, like
No,
what did you gotta say? That was great. Yeah.
But finish it.
Yeah.
This is good because you.
No, it
you've
really
done a
is.
lot. Yeah.
It really is. So we were trying to make it fun, but he is a nationally he's nationally recognized as a performance coach, keynote speaker, and founder of Montgomery Companies, working with Fortune 500 executives, championship level athletes, top tier leaders across the country. And you also wrote a book last year, or it released last year. I'm sure it took more than just a year to write, but it was called The Art of Encouragement: How to Lead Teams, Spread Love, and Serve from the Heart. And so, man, we're excited to have you. Is there anything else
anything
that
ChatGPT
we should throw out there that you can?
Bro, I don't know where you guys are getting this. You say, like, half of it's not true. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Husband, how long you been married?
Let's see, 8 years.
8
Yep.
years.
Yeah.
6 kids. 4 kids.
4 kids.
Four
Yeah.
kids.
But you don't need to say that. Let's just hang out. We just have a
Yeah,
conversation.
that's
You say whatever you want to say.
No, man. Well,
You nailed it.
no. So that's it. So you don't do anything else. That's it.
I said,
That's it. So tell me, what is a performance coach do? Let's talk a little. Let's start there. Like, what does your primary day-to-day look like? How do you make money?
in simple form, I would say we just help people live into the version of who God made them to be. I really believe that. Like, it's pulling out the giftedness in people. It's helping them see it and then being able to pull it out. Our demographic, the people that we work with most are people who are either in the people business or the performance business.
Okay.
So they're an athlete, they're trying to drive a result or achieve something, or they're a salesperson and they're building trust and relationship. So those are kind of like the two groups that we serve. And obviously want to do that in a kingdom-minded way that glorifies the Lord and, gets back to biblical principles. So, but that's the
gist of
what we do.
So is there like a framework that you work people through that you developed, or is it mostly keynotes and stuff like that you do?
I would say on the coaching side, it's just very relational.
Okay.
You know, one of my philosophies is like, it's your time, not mine. So if I'm working with somebody, like, I come with more questions than answers, and I really need to get to the heart of like what's going on with this person I'm dealing with. And I would tell people that my only expectation if I'm coaching with somebody is that they would come prepared to a conversation. Because if they don't, we will talk about stuff that isn't as important. And at some point, they will resent me for the value that I didn't provide to the topics that they didn't bring up. And so I think for any coach or leader listening, if you're going to mentor, coach, lead, teach, remembering that leadership is more about asking questions and giving answers, and creating space for people to talk about the things that are most important to them is essential to being an effective coach.
Yeah.
That's really good. I'm going to take notes on this if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I actually, you don't know this, but I just started a coaching company not too long ago.
Let's go.
And
Come
it's doing well. But,
Yeah.
Jordan, how'd you get involved in that?
We got to talk more.
Yeah.
By default, like, my story, Ian, I got fired from a financial firm. And I got recontracted by that firm, but through my firing, I think God just changed my heart for the work that I wanted to do, but also even just impacted the way I could do it. So I thought I would be a managing partner of a large financial firm, which meant I thought I was going to run a firm of 100 financial advisors. And so I would be coaching and leading and teaching through that sort of avenue in that position. Through a series of events, I realized I'm not going to be a managing partner, but I still love leading, teaching, training, and coaching. And so I kind of fell into it. And it happened probably a little more by default than design. But
What does that mean? Like, people just started reaching out?
no, so like, Kyle's like, what are you talking about? No, so what happened was I was still doing the financial planning work. I moved back to Iowa. So married this woman who's my now wife, Ashley. She's from Iowa. I'm from Iowa. We just realized like we're not going to leave Iowa. And to be a managing partner, you have to move. And so I'm like, I want to speak, teach, train. I can't be a managing partner. Maybe I'll just open a coaching business. So I was literally still doing the financial planning work, and I just opened this small coaching business on the side. But like God blessed it and doors opened. And so I just started to go deeper with that work. So that's truly how I started. Like I thought it was just going to be this side hobby or business that, like, I don't know, God just blessed and it turned into something more.
Yeah.
Is that your main gig now? Because I see you on social media speaking and doing all that. But is that more of your main thing? Is it coaching one-on-one?
70% of our business is coaching, 30% is speaking.
I did not know that.
And a lot of it's like it's me working with our coaches.
Sure.
And it's also group coaching. It's not always just one. I work with about 30 people one-to-one. And then the rest of it's all working with groups and teams.
Okay.
And then it's empowering our coaches to work with people and teams and do the same.
Okay. And those 30 are coaches, or are those actual individuals? Like
executive athletes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The common denominator would be they're either trying to achieve a result or they're building trust and relationships. Almost all of them have a large platform, like God's entrusted them with influence. And so we're just trying to be a Barnabas in their life. I'll tell everybody,
that's good.
I don't think I don't feel today like I'm a Paul, like at all. Like it's not where God has me. I think I used to think that I had to be that. Like I had to have like all kinds of like wisdom and answers for people. Yeah. And then I just realized that like our work is really more, I would say, advocacy and connection. So it's still problem solving. It's still helping people come up with answers. But it's like, man, it's encouraging. It's being an advocate. It's helping see people what they don't see. I think you guys are great at this. I was just telling Ian an hour ago. I think one of your gifts is intuition and discernment. I think if you can create a safe place for people to share and talk about things they don't talk about with other people, you can add immense value. And then just become like a world-class listener. And so if I were to describe the style of our work, and maybe that doesn't sound real attractive, but that's really the role that we play.
Well, it does sound attractive because most people want to be the Paul. Most people want to be the leader or the head guy. But how did you come up with this idea that Barnabas was your coaching style, right? Because does that make sense when I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because most people want to be the A player, and not that y'all are not A players, but you're taking a different approach of going, hey, follow me, and going, hey, well, how can I serve more?
Like I would, for those we all met through the John Maxwell deal. Yeah. I would consider him more like a Paul. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, he's spearheading, leading with wisdom. I mean, he just blinks and oozes wisdom out of his eyes. I mean, that's just where he's at.
Yeah.
So
100%. Yeah. Well, I don't know that it's anything I came up with. I really think it's like, that's who God created me to be. And in this season of my life, I feel like I'm Paul Barnabas. And I might be Paul one day, but I'm not today. And I think a lot of young leaders get caught in this trap of they're trying to be Paul when they really are just not there. And I think almost every client that we serve is two things are true. They're older than me and they're more accomplished than me. So if I'm trying to be a Paul to somebody who's 20 years older, wiser, more experienced, that's a challenge. And I think I just kind of settled into like, I don't need to be Paul. I can be a Barnabas and still add a ton of value. And some ways, I think you add unique value because you're not trying to be the same coach that everybody else is trying to be.
That's really good. I'll be honest, and I'll say it here. I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me now that I've seen you, kind of watch you like in some of the rooms that we've been in. And like, I can see that all over you now that you make that connection.
It's good.
Like that is literally who you are. And so when you said that word Barnabas and not Paul, that just like, it really opened it up for me to really understand you more and who you are and who's sitting in front of us today.
I want to just underscore this for somebody listening. I don't think that being a Barnabas means you don't share wisdom,
right?
Or you don't problem solve, or you don't step into conflict. You do, and you still help people ideate and brainstorm and come up with answers. It just means that your spirit is more to listen than to share.
It's different,
and it's probably more relational than the average coach, if that makes sense.
Well, you're leading with the relationship side, building rapport, and then through that, there's going to be organic opportunities for you to speak wisdom into certain situations that they're going through. So I totally can understand that.
Well said.
So So then like, what was the moment that you really like, when, like, was there a moment, maybe a specific moment, or was it just kind of like a progression that you realized, hey, this is really where I'm settling in this? Like,
Yeah. I don't know if there was a moment like where I felt like set. Well, I will say this. I had a moment where I was still doing the financial planning business and the coaching business.
yeah,
And I remember having a lot of angst over like, I got to choose a path, and, cause I felt like I was like compromising the financial services business.
right.
And,
Well, you're probably making good money with it,
yeah,
right?
spending time in two worlds. It just felt like
Yeah.
sometimes they were competing, and I had a conversation with a friend and I was driving. I remember exactly where I was at. And I was saying to this friend, I'm like, I just feel like a lot of pressure and stress that like I'm in these two worlds and I don't know what to do. And my friend said, do you need to make a change right now? And I said, well, not like right now. And then he said, well, just enjoy where you're at and trust and pray that God will make it abundantly clear when you're supposed to make a change. He said, God is a God of peace. So pray that when you have peace, there will also be clarity. And then like 6 months later, there was that moment of clarity and peace. And it had to do with some restructuring from the corporate side of things. They kind of said to me, hey, like you can't grow a team because you can't accept a referral fee if your security's licensed. And so I just said, hey, I think that I need to drop my contract. What do y'all think if I serve the organization in a greater way that I can grow a team?
Yeah.
That'd be great. So just drop your contract and you go deeper with developing our advisors. And that was the kind of the moment of peace and clarity.
That's so good.
Talk a little bit. So what you're kind of describing is organic growth or organic, finding what God has for you organically. Talk a little bit on organic growth versus forced growth.
Yeah, I've just tried to run the offense that I think we're called to run. And I don't know that it works for everybody. It works for us. And we haven't really done any marketing. We don't prospect. There's no sales calls. First off, God's really provided. Like I believe that promotion comes from above and he's been so faithful. And, so we've been able to grow this business, but truly, John talks about this, that like, if you want to grow a brand or you want to have opportunity out into the future, like you just got to get really good at what you do. Mm-hmm. And if you serve and add value, you're others focused and you become good at what you do. I do think that growth finds you. Mm-hmm. I don't think that means like you just good at what you do and sit on your hands. Like we still have to have conversations about acquisition and partnering with people. And I still have to be strategic about how I structure things. But it really has been like a serve, add value. I don't know. And then also like partner with people who are like John Maxwell and John Gordon have been incredible advocates. So I think there's an element of like, how do you advocate for even those guys and add value to people who are coaching and serving? And I think because of that, I've been allowed in some rooms that maybe I wouldn't be in otherwise. I don't know. God's been faithful. There is no growth strategy. And I probably sound like, an immature business person saying that, but I don't know. I just wake up every day and try to add value and serve and do the best I can. And God's blessed it.
Yeah. So you mentioned peace, and I think this is a big one too, because he started coaching and I've just, because of where I've found myself within our church, there's a lot of discipleship that I have, found myself to be able to pour into people and just bring some of the wisdom with some younger men in my life. And so I know both of us can relate to this, but how do you separate yourself from carrying on the weight of who you're coaching to where it's like you can't, like it holds you back, like, or maybe you take it into your evening with your family. Like, how do you separate that from some heavy conversations with somebody you're coaching?
Yeah, I don't know if fully separated. I mean, I guess I'm learning, Kyle. It's a great question. You guys will be able to, you can speak into this too. There's days where I carry it, because you're stepping into some really unique and difficult situations and you're taking on information or you're absorbing conflict or issues that are heavy. But I also think, Pat Lencioni writes about this in The Motive, which is a great book. If you guys have read it.
I haven't.
He talks about two different types of leaders. So I'm going to shout out to Pat. He says there's a reward-centered leader and a responsibility-centered leader. He says the average leader wants to lead without knowing why. And the world's not a better place if people are leading without knowing why they're leading. Then he goes on to describe two NFL players. He says, the first guy gets drafted and his posture is, I've arrived. I've made it. Like I'm going to go get what's mine. I'm going to sign for 100 million or 50 million or whatever the contract is. And he kind of gets up on stage and he beats his chest. He takes the picture. He's like, he's feeling really proud, right? He's like, I've made it. I've arrived. And then he says, there's another player who gets drafted and he thinks, oh crap. Like there's an organization that's about to entrust me to really be opportunity and I got to get to work. Like this is a burden. I got to treat this opportunity with a deep sense of responsibility. And it will be really hard. And I think leadership is messy. I think it's really hard. I think it is a burden. And I think it's also a verb. It's not a noun, like leadership's about action. It's not a title. And I think for those that I know that are leading well, I mean, you guys know many of the same pastors and leaders. And I'm not suggesting that leadership should run you dry or like you walk in the door at night and you can't lead your family or have peace. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there's going to be days where you find yourself in some really tough situations, but that also that God is going to use you in those tough situations and equip you to have an impact. I think we live in a world that wants to make leadership warm and fuzzy, and I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's really hard. And I think if you're going to lead well, you should understand you're signing up for a lifetime of messy situations and conversations. And I just caution any coach, if you really want to do the work that Ian and I are doing or that you're doing, Kyle, in discipleship, like, I mean, those discipling guys, it's messy, man. Yeah. It's just hard and messy. And you're going to walk with people through some really difficult stuff and you will feel the weight of that. I don't know that I'm the right person to ask on how I'm separating that because I don't have, I'm learning about that.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'd just be sitting with you being like, bro, let's pray about it.
Yeah.
I'm in it. I'm in that season.
I appreciate your honesty.
Break that, And I can say all the things about like the real job starts at home and all those little, hacks that people want to throw. But the reality is it's heavy. And if you're doing it well and doing it right,
it's going to be heavy.
It should be heavy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what I'm learning is not trying not to carry it, but manage it. I know it's
well said.
That's the biggest thing. Like there's times where it needs to be managed and then there's times where it needs to be carried, but never carrying all of it. And then the simple thing that I've gone back to, and I know this is probably super simple and people will laugh at it, but when I get off of a heavy call and I sit down and I say, Lord, you're faithful and you're going to figure it out and you're going to help us, you're going to provide. Like that's the kind of the motto in my brain that I go through in order to take some of the, to throw the burdens at the cross. And sometimes we're carrying, it's not even our own burdens, right? This when you're coaching, your burden is your family or it's your kids or it's your, the people that you're coaching. But it at times can keep you up at night. And so you've got to go, God, I got to lay this at your feet. It's not just what Ian has that I have to lay at your feet, but I got to lay John's or Bob's or Tim's or whoever. I got to lay that burden that I'm holding. I got to lay that at your feet. So that's how I mentally play it in my mind as I've been doing this now for almost a year. It's to where it doesn't get overwhelming.
It's really wise what you just said. And manage it, don't carry it.
Yeah.
Two passages that I'd point our listeners to. One would be Matthew 18, when the disciples are arguing over who's the greatest. And they ask Jesus, who's the great? And then Jesus grabs the child and places a child among them and said, truly, I tell you, unless you change and become like the child, you won't enter the kingdom of heaven. And so I think there's a humble dependence that he asks us to have as we coach and lead people. Like I can either try to give people worldly advice and help them to be like me or absorb my thoughts, or I can point them back to the cross and back to Jesus. And I think that lightens the load when it's like, it's not really mine to manage or carry.
Yeah.
But also Ephesians 6, I think it's 10 through 20. There's 10 passages. That's the armor of God, passage. And I had the guy who disciples me pointed this out. He said, notice in those 10 verses, Ephesians 6, 10 through 20, the word stand is used 4 times. So it doesn't say swing or attack or charge. Like when you're doing spiritual battle, like we're being called to stand firm in the armor of God. And I think, when I think about dealing with a burden, like I got to stay connected to the vine and stay close to the Lord.
Yeah.
Stand and his goodness and what he's already done, instead of believing that I got to somehow work through it or manage it by my own strength.
Yeah. That's really good.
Really
I think as I was just sitting here thinking, listening to y'all talk and process it, I'm like, one of the things that happens to me when I get off the call, and I don't know if this is right or wrong, but I kind of look at it as like, it points me back to how faithful God has been to me in my life and with our marriage, especially when we are talking about somebody that is dealing with a marriage issue or something like that. We certainly don't have it all figured out either, but my wife and I have been able to work through so much. And so it's just like a constant steady stream of a reminder of like, look how God has, like, look how much he has provided and been faithful for us already.
Come on.
So it kind of points us back to that. And then and takes the burden off and brings peace into the situation. And so,
hey, Cal, to that end, I think when we are coaching and leading, I think bringing people back to moments where God has been faithful is really important.
Yeah, that's good.
Because we're so quick to forget that, aren't we? Like, I think it's an opportunity we have to take people back. Because, like, for me, I just get caught up in the next issue.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, God, and then I'm on to the next.
That's right.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I was on a coaching call this morning with some clients, and literally it was fire. Right, it was just fire, and I'm like, hold on, let's go back. Let's go back to 10 months ago.
Yeah.
And let's look how far you've come in 10 months.
Come on.
Yeah.
Right? Like I literally had to do that today, and it shifted the perspective.
Yeah.
It shifted the lens that we were looking through. It shifted how terrible was it really that terrible? Is it really that bad? Right?
Yeah.
And so, but stones of remembrance, moments in your life where you can look back and go, look how far we've come. We're not perfect, but we're making progression.
It's good.
And so,
it's good.
Well, yeah, it's like the old adage of, our boy Mace, more money, more problems.
Yeah.
Like, and that's a legitimate like as you grow and as you free yourself and as you continue to process and unroot a lot of things inside of us that are there that kind of hold us back and weigh us down, it's like we advance, and then the slightest time that it shows its face again, it's like we feel like the whole world is falling again. We're regressing so far back. At least
new levels, new depth.
So, that's exactly
your influence, and there's more issues, right?
Yeah.
So,
I want to talk about something that you're learning and maybe observing from some of the folks that you're coaching who are, let's face it, the guys that you're coaching are more advanced level, elite level type people. What kind of patterns do you see or notice in like what they're either dealing with or how they're overcoming some things in their past to get them to where they are today? Or like, even if you can give us some insight, obviously without attaching any names to it, like what kind of patterns or problems are they dealing with today that maybe the average person may not think it, or maybe they're only thinking it happens to me.
Yeah. Well, first off, you are an elite question asker.
Oh, thank you.
You're a good question asker.
Hold on. Have you ever been asked that before?
That's a great question. Maybe some themes. I think, the paradox of education, like the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I've enjoyed being around some really gifted people who are in this place of like, man, I'm just getting started. And so I think, I notice and I'm sure you guys notice this too, right? Like if you work with a younger professional, like maybe a late 20 something or early 30 something, not always, but so often it's like, they're pretty confident in like what they've accomplished or what they have figured out.
Sure.
And then I'll work with the 55-year-old executive leader and they're like, dude, I don't have anything figured out. I'm so sideways. I don't know anything, And so I think and I think life does that to you a little bit, right? But also I think that many of the people we've worked with or get to work with and serve have worked really, really hard at staying grounded and staying in a posture of, I'm just getting started. I've got a lot to learn. This question of what am I missing is like, I think one of the best questions. John Maxwell, which is on that question. I think about it more of like a posture than an actual question. But just if you carry the posture of, what do I not know? What am I not seeing? What am I not discerning about my team or my marriage or my kids? Because so many times in my journey, I'm like, I got it all figured out. I know how my wife's doing and how my kids doing. I know what my team needs. I've got it all. And so I sense that from people who are really elite at growing, building teams or driving a result. So often there's at least some level of humility in them that says, I got to get moving. I got to get going. John Wooden said it's what you learn after you know it all that counts.
Yeah.
I think that rings true. That quote or axiom is like, I think, buried inside of most of the people that we serve or work with.
That's great.
So that'd be one theme. And then I think, I think the most important leadership skill set is the ability to communicate. And I would say a good majority of the people that we work with, more probably on the people side than performance side, are very gifted communicators. And it doesn't mean they're eloquent speakers. It means they know how to build trust very quickly with other humans. Off the top of my head, those are the two things that probably show up most in terms of common theme.
So how does one,
No, go ahead.
How does one build trust? And because it's not even whether somebody is a public speaker or not, if they're just like, how do they build trust in a short interaction? Like if for a new meeting or something like that, maybe in the business world.
Yeah. So I'm learning this. Psalm 119 says everyone should be slow to speak and quick to listen. The world would say, knowledge speaks, wisdom listens. Like that's an axiom that gets thrown around. I think the average person does a really terrible job listening.
Yeah.
Like you guys are so far ahead of the curve in your ability to communicate because of your ability to listen. And I think there's a pace at which a lot of elite people communicate that is slower, especially when they're having one-to-one conversation. Like there's a posture of, I've got something to learn here. And if people don't figure that out at some point in their leadership journey, I think they hit a ceiling or a lid where like, I don't think they can. Yeah, I think it holds a lot of people back if they don't learn that. And I've noticed this, like in my conversations, if I'm the more elite someone is, or the more that they've accomplished, the more influence they have, like the more questions I have to ask.
Yeah.
Craig Rochelle said the best of what God put in people doesn't live on the surface. And I think that's so true. And when you work with somebody else who's accomplished a lot, like they have a lot to say and share that nobody else knows about because people aren't asking them questions. They're asking everybody else the questions.
Yeah.
So like, and you guys have probably felt this, right? When you get out with lunch, right? And somebody's like, oh, Kyle, I'll buy. Like, Kyle, what's going on with you? Kyle, what's going on here? And you're like, well, this is like abnormal.
Yeah.
And that's a good, if you feel like that's awkward, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It means you're always the one doing the questions and because you're curious and you're a great question asker. So, I think back to how does one build trust?
Good.
I think like, maybe it sounds cliche, but it's like Dale Carnegie said, a person's favorite sound is their own name and their favorite topic is himself. Like, we're going to ask more questions and better questions.
Better questions. I think that's key. I think we're not talking about the weather, right?
Oh man. Yeah.
I mean, we're getting to know you pretty quick in a setting or, kids and everything else, kind of get the lay of the land. But then
that's it.
I think one of the techniques, if you will, if you want to call it that, is like trying to find some common ground. And so the only way to do that is to asking some deeper questions. And I know you're the same way. I mean, he doesn't fluff at all. If you've ever, I know you've talked to
deep with Ian Sperry. He doesn't want. That's this podcast. Going deep with Ian and Kyle.
That's a good thing.
I do think, a good question makes you likable. A great question makes you memorable. And the difference is a good question allows somebody to respond and a great question allows somebody to think. Part of what makes you gifted, both of you, because you've even done this like the last 30 minutes right here, right now, is like, you've really forced me to think. And I'm on a lot of podcasts where somebody's like, tell us your story, tell us your journey. And it's just easy stuff to respond to. The reason I said 10 minutes ago that you're a really great question asker is because you're forcing me to think about things that I haven't thought about before or haven't thought about often.
I appreciate it.
And if you can put somebody in that position where they're either thinking about things they haven't thought about before or haven't thought about often, you're a lot more likely to make an impact and create, a memorable, like I think, conversation or moment.
Yeah.
So kudos.
Appreciate that.
So faith-based podcast here. We take Christian leaders like yourself, pastors, and so I want to ask some faith-based questions because I know that you're an amazing leader. All the accolades that we talked about before you've done and you're doing, but I know what you're most passionate about is first Christ and second your family. So I'm going to ask a question and then you take it where you want it. Okay.
Deal.
So who is Jesus Christ to Jordan Montgomery?
Yeah. Jesus is, first and foremost, my savior. He is the person that's responsible for my life. Like I think about what he did for me on the cross and the influence and impact he's had on my life. And I'll say it this way. He's the reason that I live, and I think about all the mistakes I've made and the things that I've screwed up and how many times I've sinned and gotten it wrong. And like how I'm feeling today when you asked me that question, Ian, that's such a good question, is and for somebody listening to this podcast, like I just want you to know, like he is the most gracious, kind, loving friend and king. And that's what I'm feeling today. Like, I'm just so thankful that he continues to pursue me as my savior in light of all that I've messed up. And I don't have some big thing that I'm like struggling with or suffering from right now, but I don't know. I've just been thinking about his grace a lot lately. Probably because I'm a young leader, young family.
Yeah.
And so you just make mistakes as a husband, as a parent, like I was even thinking about our time. So right before this, I was working with a group, Ian, that you introduced me to because you're so generous. And I'm not thinking about, here's the things that went well. I'm thinking about things I screwed up. And I think that's a function of age and getting older. But I'm becoming more aware of just like probably my sin nature, and what I'm prone to. And so because of that, as you asked that question today, I'm just thinking about God's grace in my life.
That's good.
That's good, man. I'm reminded when you're talking about this, when Paul got to his final analogy of himself, and he said, I am the chief of all sinners, right? And it's just this picture of like, I think in that moment he was thinking of God's grace, right? Like this is Paul that we're talking about, that the majority of the New Testament. And he says this, I'm the chief of all sinners. And it's a progression through scripture of who he was. And then he comes to this moment of his maturity in his walk with Christ. And then the grace of God is even more alive then when he's at some level exceeded or accomplished the obedience side of his life, right? Like he's no longer walking in those sin patterns, but then he still recognizes I'm the chief of all sinners, even in this process. So his grace was even more alive later on than it was in the beginning.
Man, that's so good.
So I think that's, what you're saying is that like he's so good. He's so faithful. He's so kind. And I think that's good. That's really good.
I just want to encourage you. You've really done a great job encouraging us, but man, you have a lot of depth, and through your wisdom shows. We were talking about being a Barnabas, but you do have the wise counsel inside of you. I can see that just through this short interaction as well. But wisdom comes from experience, and so you can you can sense that you've had to experience some things, but wisdom also comes from learning through our experiences. Yeah. And so I just appreciate you being vulnerable and encouraging us with that, because I think people are going to be blessed by this conversation.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I praise God for it, and I also think that, we, all three of us have been through some stuff. And I think we live in a world that's like, like adversity builds character. Go through stuff and you become stronger. And I do think it's important, as you say that, Kyle, it's important to underscore two things. Adversity builds character because of God's grace, and if you allow it to.
Yeah,
that's good.
So God is freely offering that to us, right? But it also requires an intentional choice to move forward and get better and grow.
Yeah. So kingdom values, let's stay on this topic. How do you weave that into your coaching business? Because I'm assuming, maybe I shouldn't assume, I'll ask the question. You're not just coaching a bunch of Christian, high level, maybe you are high level achievers, but let's say you're not. How do you weave that in? Because obviously it's a part of your DNA.
Well, I think about that question, I think about it the other way. Like, how do you weave coaching into kingdom values? Because if you have kingdom values, then you're having kingdom conversations, whether you're talking about scriptures or Jesus. You know, if that's the focal point of the conversation or not, I hope that conversations we're having are, evidence of God's grace and his power and presence are all over those conversations. So, and this is something I need to really slow down and think about. I mean, I'm just trying to be transparent with where you caught me in that question, Kyle, is like, do I wake up every day and think, okay, I'm going to be the greatest coach with the greatest strategy, and I'm going to go listen to some John Maxwell and Ed Milet, or, because I mean, the world has so much to offer. It just does, right? Like all three of us have been fortunate to be around some great mentors.
Yeah.
And man, what I know is if it's left to me and Ian and Kyle and the John Maxwells of the world to guide and instruct, and if that was all there was, boy, I think people are in big trouble.
Yeah.
I think they're, I think,
especially with me.
If you're trying to listen to me, you want to coach me. I mean, I'm just saying, but the scary part is that's in all of us.
Yeah. Right.
It's in me to be like, oh, what does John Maxwell say about this? Or what did I learn from that seminar with John Gordon or whatever? And so, man, I got to be in my Bible daily. And I think if I'm in my Bible on a consistent basis and spending time with God, then kingdom values become a part of the conversation instead of me trying to fit.
That's good.
Coaching. And I will say this, and I'm sure you guys can relate to this too. I can feel a difference. Like if I'm not in the Word, my conversations are distinctly different.
Wow. Yeah.
That's really good.
I remember a guy discipling me when I was young. I was in college, and he said, hey, just so you know, bro, I know if somebody's in their Bible or not. I was like, well, I haven't really been reading my Bible. He's like, yeah, I know. I know. I just know if somebody's been in their Bible.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
Never thought that either.
Yeah.
It's good.
So what you do in the secret place, I think reveals itself in some of those conversations. And honestly, as I say that today, I don't, just for all of our listeners, I had a crazy day today.
Yeah.
I was not in my Bible this morning. There's been a lot of days recently. I just haven't been where I needed to be, either for as long as I needed to be or when I needed to be there. And so I think today I'm feeling convicted, I got to get back there if I want to have kingdom conversations by God's grace tomorrow.
Yes, good. Well, yeah.
I really think I want to go back to how you reverse that. Can you say that almost verbatim again? How you, because I think even the W-2 employee can think about their job the way that you just articulated that with the kingdom values. So you think about getting the kingdom values inside of you, leading with, and how did he say it?
I don't know.
I think you asked me about how do you get kingdom values into
coaching.
That's right.
Right. And all I was saying is just, I think about how do you get coaching back to kingdom values.
That's right.
Because if you're,
or business, get your job back to kingdom values.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the best strategy that you deliver is one that you live.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not let me tell you about this great kingdom value. I think people are experiencing kingdom value through how we interact with each other, operate, and
how we talk,
build relationship, and carry ourselves. And so that's I don't know. That's how I think kingdom values.
That's great.
So I know we're getting close.
Great question.
We're getting close on our time. You got another.
I feel like we just
scratch the surface. We're gonna
spend 10 minutes.
It's so fun.
We're gonna do 2.0. We're gonna come to Iowa and get 2.0. Because that'd be
not
fun.
in the winter.
Yeah.
Not.
Come on. Come to Iowa. You said travel to Iowa.
Yeah.
Let's come to Iowa anytime. You want to come to Iowa? Not many people want to come to Iowa.
Well, no. So
most people are like, how do we get you back to Texas?
So I learned this from this really cool leader. He asked this question, so I'm going to ask it to you. What is Jordan Montgomery passionate about that we should be passionate about? Do you know who I learned that from?
Who?
You.
Really?
Yeah, said that. You said that. You did. You said
wow.
That. You said that at a podcast roundtable at HCL. And you said we need to ask more questions like, hey, what are you passionate about that we should be passionate
That I
about?
can be passionate about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can be
that's
passionate. So what is something Jordan
Maybe I
Montgomery's
love that.
passionate about
Yeah.
that either
for sure stole it from somebody else.
Yeah.
that Kingdom
It's okay.
Flow or our listeners need to be passionate about?
Well, I'm passionate about a lot of things, and I'm just a passionate
What's on you right
person
now?
in general.
What's on you right now? Like, what do you, what are, whether it be family, whether it be business, for me right now, like my passion point right now, we've talked about this a little on the podcast. We're in the process of writing a book, and a devotional for dads to lead and parent and disciple their kids in the home. So specifically for the dads to go, hey, you are the spiritual leader of your home, and we're going to give you a resource that's going to help you disciple and walk with your family.
Yeah, that's good.
So that's like a passionate thing for me right now.
Yeah.
Is there anything that's passionate right now for Jordan Montgomery?
I'm gonna give you two things. They're complete opposite.
Okay.
One is I'm incredibly passionate about the topic of communication and trust. Like what's the nuance and science of building trust with other humans? I love thinking about that, talking about that.
You do a great job of.
I don't know. But again, like I think paradox of education. Maybe I feel like I've got so much to learn about that topic. So in my work, I'm passionate about that. In the personal life, and this is a function of what's going on with me, but also with a lot of dads that have young kids. Isn't it interesting if you have young kids, you don't get the same juice rolling around with a 3-year-old that you do like winning a business or presenting or being at an HCL event. Like it's a completely different type of energy, and I just refer to it as like juice.
Yeah.
You know? And I know I love rolling around with my 3-year-old. And we have 4 kids, but just I connect with my 14-year-old in a completely different. Most of the day she doesn't want to connect with me, so it takes care of itself. But the 3-year-old especially is like, Daddy, I want to play whatever. And why is it? And this is what I'm really thinking about. I'm just being transparent with you guys. Why is it that I can jump into a conversation? I mean, I could go with Ian and Kyle for 6 hours straight. I mean, I could just sit at the table, and I'm so passionate. I'm just into it. Yeah. And why can't I play like building blocks with my 3-year-old
for more than
6 hours straight? Yeah. It's like, why 3 minutes does that? And I think hopefully most people would be honest about. I think we live in a culture that's like feels guilty about that, or just is dishonest about it. Like, no, like I just roll around like for 6 hours on the floor with my kids.
No, you don't.
Undistracted. Undistracted, whatever.
Yeah.
But, okay, why is it? Paul says like I do what I don't want to do. Like, why is it that we can love something so much and know that it's infinitely more important?
Yeah.
And yet struggle with that.
That's really, thank you for sharing that. I had the same thing that I was having really struggles with. This was a couple of years ago, and my coach was like, hey, your brain's wired a little bit different, right? And that's okay, right? But you set a timer for 15 minutes and you give that baby 15 minutes of everything. And then that alarm goes off, you're okay to take a break and then so I've literally had to do that, Jordan, to where it's like, okay, I'm on 15 minutes and you get all of me for 15. We're going to roll. And so like, I can honestly say I've rolled for 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's good.
And I've given it all for 15 minutes. And as they've gotten older, like you're experiencing your 14, like my 9, almost 10-year-old, now we're having conversation,
it's good.
The depth is getting there. And now it's like, hey, I actually enjoy sitting across from my 10-year-old and going there. Right. And so just a little bit of encouragement. It's not just you. It's all of us. But I will set a timer and go, all right, Luke, you got 15 minutes, dude. Let's go. And like we go hard for 15 minutes.
One thing I learned to do, I'm sorry, I was just going to add on that too, is if you've taken the love languages test, we did that, of course, but I actually had my kids do it, and I was just reading the questions and answering for them, but it really helped me because I have a daughter. My daughter is 15 and then my kids are a little bit older, but I did that so that I could like okay, let me figure out how I need to be spending that 15 minutes or that, for my daughter, it looks a lot different now. And because I'm like, oh, we need to do this and this and this. But like for my daughter, she just wants to hang out. Hers is quality time. So we can literally drive around. Right now, she just got her permit. The last time we did our date, we drove around for 2 hours. Like that's literally it. And it was like, and it filled her cup so much. So
it's good.
It's
good. Yeah. I feel like, so I'm in a lot of these conversations with guys, specifically guys, not that I'm against coaching women,
sure.
I coach mostly guys. And these issues come up a lot. And I think our culture is so conditioned to meet a symptom with a strategy. Like, hey, the symptom is for some reason, I'm not finding the juice with my 3-year-old. And then I'm prone to meet that symptom with a strategy like, here's what you should try. And there's nothing wrong with that. Your strategy has a place in coaching, obviously. I think the problem is, though, we try strategy so often, like we try to treat the symptom so often without addressing like what's really going on with our heart.
Sure.
Yeah.
And issues are a matter of the heart.
Yeah.
Like symptoms are so often solved by strategy. Issues are solved.
It's good.
I think in digging deeper with like, what's going on with me? What is it about my heart? What is in my way? And what I value and or maybe even overvalue or covet or cling to or find my worth in that has got me in that place.
That's good.
Yeah.
And that's a really deep maybe question. Those are some of the questions I'm just asking of myself and asking of other young men who I think are struggling with that same thing.
It's good.
And I think there's totally a place for tactics and we have to have strategy.
Yeah.
We have to have the boundaries and the strategy. I love what your coach told you. I think it's also though a layer deeper of like, hey, why don't you just sit with that for a while and think about like, what is in my heart that's causing that dynamic?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, mine. So we did that, and again, I know you got to go, but mine was the adrenaline rush. Like I loved the adrenaline, right? I loved
Makes so much sense.
I love the adrenaline.
Yeah,
I love the deals and the this and the communication. My wife sometimes will look at me and go, "Hey, you just gave 30 minutes of passionate talk to Kyle or whoever, right? Jordan."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Hey, can I get 30 minutes passionate like that?" And so I'm still working on that too, right?
Yeah, it's good.
I'm still, and again, it's like you said, whether it's something we're coveting or something subconscious that we're really wanting, right? That they're not giving us.
Yep.
Or we think they're not giving us.
Yep.
Right. And so I will say though, that strategic 15, it's done what it's allowed, that juice. I get excited for the juice for the 15 minutes. And so it does help in that process.
That's right.
As we're discovering
100%
what these roots are. It's not about the thing, it's about all things. Right?
Yeah.
So it's right. So anyway, we're
you're not taking a pill without also doing the real work of exercise and diet.
That's right.
It's both and.
It's both and.
But I love that strategy you mentioned. And I think there's a lot of us, I'm in this, that want to go to symptom without going to issue.
That's right. Yeah.
That's my default.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a loaded question. I don't remember asking it.
No.
But, I love that you gave me credit for what I probably just pulled.
We can go back and check the transcript.
That's right.
I do want to this is the last question.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have you pray us out of here if you don't mind. Like this last few weeks, months, whatever you call it, have been extremely heavy just in our society as a whole, right? All the other things that we deal with, it seems like every year it gets heavier and heavier, like just in society in general. So like, how are you encouraging people? Is there like one thing, two things? Like, what are you mostly encouraging people with right now as like the biggest thing?
Yeah. Well, I think where we stand today, but also at all times, I think, I'll say two things that are showing up in our work over and over. We've talked about these things, I think, already today. One is asking way more questions and having way fewer answers.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Can I be more specific?
Yeah.
I want you to think of it in terms of encouraging our listeners with the same advice that you're encouraging others.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll do that. So I'll take it that direction. So here's what I'd say to listeners.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Everybody in our world has an opinion. They have a stance. They have a perspective. And I think right now we are like clinging to that perspective. Like people are like, here's what I think of Charlie Kirk. And people are like, well, here's what I think of Charlie Kirk. Here's what I think of President Trump. Well, here's what I think. And we're just so quick to like, to cling to what we think or what we know instead of having the posture of like, I wonder why they think that way. Like, I wonder what they've been through, what their life experience is or has been to get them to a place where they thought that way. And I guess the root of that is just empathy. Like,
Yeah.
because I think so often if you think about, so you see this like in a political race, right? You'd be like, I can't believe that this person voted for that person. Like, how did you vote for them? But if I slow myself down to say, I wonder what it was like growing up for them.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder what kind of situations they faced. I wonder what their school experience was like. I wonder what their family dynamics. I wonder like what's their faith journey been like, or who's burned them. I don't know. I think we're so quick to insert our opinion and so slow to ask anybody any questions.
It's good.
And I feel like this is popping up all over the place. And it happened yesterday at the airport. Okay, this is like a very simple moment, but some really kind guy who's helping me at the airport find my Uber, and he's like, he asked me a question about why I was at a Clemson football game. So I tell him I'm at a Clemson football game, and he has no questions about that. And then he just goes, well, here's why I went to this game. And he starts telling me like, and it was just like a microcosm of like, that's the world that we live in. You know, people just really quick to insert their opinion. I feel like I'm still not answering the question.
No, that's good.
The second thing, I told you two things. One would be empathy. Two would be gratitude. That like, and I've just seen it. I've seen God's grace in my own life and in others. When you speak with a level of thanks and gratitude, it just changes
things.
Minds, hearts, moments, rooms, conversations. I think subconsciously we all love to be around the person that is grateful for the life they live, the day they have, the family that they get to lead or be a part of. So those are two things that I think if people were quick to be thoughtful about what they have to be thankful for.
Yeah.
And I think if they ask more questions, they were slow to speak.
That's a great perspective.
And live in a better world.
We appreciate you being
Jordan Montgomery.
Appreciate you guys, man. I would say the bio made me highly uncomfortable.
That was kind of the
goal. For me, I'm also wearing a bright blue jacket, and you guys are far more trendy.
That's all right.
But this is fun hanging out with you guys. And I will pray us out, but before I do that, this like you guys are on a really special journey. I think about your commitment to growing in your faith and leading your family. And I love that as young men, we get to have a conversation that is more oriented around those things than like business and deals. And man, I think we have a lot of young men that want to talk about that stuff first.
Yeah.
And I think I said in that group that we were speaking to, and I probably just borrowed this from somebody else too, so don't be impressed. But I think if you grow a great person, you might, if you grow a great person, you'll get a great professional. If you try to grow a great professional, you might get a great person. And I think the work that you guys are doing and the conversations that you're having are focused on like, how can I be a great human and be well as a person?
That's really good.
Not just like lead as a professional.
That's really good.
Appreciate
Thank you for that.
Love you guys.
Appreciate you, man. Love you.
Father, thanks for this conversation today. Thanks for a moment here in Houston, Texas, where we can have discussion about things that matter. I pray that as listeners hear this conversation, that they be spurred to action, that they would think deeper about their purpose and their journey and where life has them. I pray for the person hurting right now. I sense that somebody's listening to this and they're probably just, they're struggling. To Kyle's point, it's a unique time in our country and there's a lot of divisiveness. And for that person that's hurting or finds himself at a place of loss or pain, just pray that you draw near to that soul, that person that has questions. Maybe there's somebody listening today that doesn't know you, Father. May they be encouraged that you know them. Pray that you'd make that real to them, that you'd show your face, reveal yourself May your spirit move, convict hearts, encourage hearts. God, I thank for the way that you're using Kyle and Ian, just for their faithfulness and how they're choosing to steward their gifts. Pray favor in their ministry, favor in this podcast. Just pray that you put the wind at their back, open doors, that they'd be able to have more conversations just like this, with the least of these and with those who have influence, and everywhere in between. Thank you, God. You are faithful. You're good to us. Thanks for your mercy and grace. Thanks for your love. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks for listening. We hope that you feel encouraged by today's episode.
Help us reach the masses by leaving a review and subscribing to the show. We'll see you next time.